Iko nini bwana?
Asante.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Continue.
Thank you for the warmest wishes of birthday, and we thank God. Mine is just I'm happy that we are having this conversation. As a country, we have come a long way, and the issue of corruption that we are discussing on how to fight it, how it is ingrained in our societal, from all sectors, by the way, since and the first person who tried to tackle corruption head on, I remember one of the biggest campaign banners of the late His Excellency President Mwai Kibaki was zero tolerance on corruption. And I think he rode in 2002 with that wave that people believe that the corruption had gotten into every half of the society, from parliament, national executive, judiciary, counties, and even the private sector. So, and that is when now there were a strategic fight against corruption by enacting laws, including economic anti-corruption and economic crimes act, to now the EACC Act, among other legislative and policy intervention, and even the establishment. And you know, when Kenyans adopted and promulgated 2010 constitution, they were specific on Article 79 that we needed a body that is constitutional, that is independent, to fight corruption in this country. I know when we'll get into serious discussions when we get deeper, we will be looking at the role and what EACC has done. And coming from my experience as a ranking member of the Senate and also a long-serving member of County Public Accounts Committee and County Public Investment Committee in the last session and having served also coincidentally as the Senate chairperson on Justice, Civil Affairs and Human Rights, and later served as the vice chairperson of County Public Accounts Committee. From the perspective of policy and legislative intervention, I agree with the president that corruption has permeated in all arms. It is like an octopus. It has permeated in all our spheres of life, from private sector to government to parliament, all three arms of government. Secondly, that bold statement that was made by the president, I think many people did not expect it. Even when we attended the parliamentary group meeting, the broad-based, where UDA, Kenya Kwanza, and ODM, we had a leadership, KCB leadership Karen in Karen. We didn't expect those statements. We were expecting something else. So it came to most of us, members of parliament, both in the Senate and National Assembly, with a shock. And I think also coincidentally, the country was shocked. And the president was very clear that since he consumes raw intelligence, that there are my colleagues in the House of Parliament, both houses that are perpetuating corruption, using the position of trust that has been given to Kenyans to perpetuate corruption. Thirdly, is that I welcome the president's move wholeheartedly for those people not only to be named and shamed, but to be investigated, prosecuted, and possibility to lose even their seats. You know, the bill you have alluded into the Powers and Privileges Act of Parliament, where this is the only committees that is chaired by the speakers. The one is in the Senate on Powers and Privileges chaired by the Speaker of the Senate. In the National Assembly is chaired by the Speaker. And Section 18, 17, and 15, by the way, the bill, for your information, any ethical misconduct of a member of parliament, be it in the National Assembly or the Senate, there are provisions, I think under Section 17, if I'm not wrong, of the parliamentary powers and privileges. One of the conditions is, apart from apology, apart from one of the serious penalties against ethical misconduct, including corruption, is even losing your seat. And that has been provided by the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act. So now, I think now that the president has made that pronouncement, we have challenged the speakers of both houses to invite that information from the president and evidence so that these members of parliament who are perpetuating corruption can be known. They should be investigated. They should be prosecuted. But from where I sit the bar as a member of the Senate and a ranking member, I can speak for myself that there is no time or any given chance that I have been offered a bribe or have been persuaded in any form of inducement or favor to either support or reject a policy or any parliamentary proceedings, including impeachments of governors and even the impeachment of the deputy president, including motions, including bills, including statements or any pronouncements that we make on the floor of the House. I can speak for myself that mimi ni mweupe kama pamba. And I want to assure Kenyans that I don't agree with the blanket condemnation of an institution. I will be more excited and happy that let us know who these individuals that are within parliament that are perpetuating corruption. And I am happy that we have now begun the fight against corruption properly. Because when we finish with parliament, we must go to national executive. We must go to judiciary. We must go to private sector. We must go to, apart from the private sector, we must go to the counties. And I was expecting, because I sit specifically that we audit financial statements of the counties and the audit reports that are generated under Article 229 by the Office of the Auditor General, and we consider as a parliament, I would have expected that the EACC stops issuing press statements and give us actionable. There is so much corruption in our counties. Corruption has permeated in our counties. Governors are becoming overnight billionaires. They are owning houses. They are buying houses. They are having what we call devilish wealth. That when you ask somebody to account the money they have, the property they have, they even don't know because they have amassed and plundered our resources. So I want to thank you. This will be my opening remarks, but my conclusion is this: that let us have a conversation and ideas that we need as a member of parliament. I would really excited. By the way, I want to correct this misnomer and misconception in the public that there are not enough laws to fight corruption in this country. There are so much enough laws. We have passed subsidiary legislation to fight corruption. What is happening is that we don't have goodwill as a society to fight corruption from the lowest level. The 50 shillings that you give a traffic officer might look little money, but you are growing a monster without knowing it. So let the legislative and policy, as a former chair of JLAC and having served at the Public Accounts Committee in Parliament, I can assure you there are enough laws to punish corrupt practices by either people in private or in public spaces for the benefit. Because the bar, I know when we fight corruption, there will be drugs in hospital. We will not pay ghost facilities through SHA. We will not have a bad road with many potholes. We will not have substandard roads that we see that was that expressway. Whenever it rains, the entire city floods because it was somebody ate 10%. The execution of the project was poorly done. You find that whenever it rains, there's blockage of drainage within Nairobi. And even our counties are report. Can you believe the BAL? We just concluded on devolution conference. Sorry for taking long. We just concluded devolution conference in Oma Bay. And it is shocking that for the last 15 years or so, since the advent of devolution, counties have received more than 4 trillion Kenyan shillings. The question that all of us on this conversation and on Kenyans who are following this discussion, is there value for the last 4 trillion that it has been allocated to our counties? Whenever you are in Omabe, whenever in your vehicle, in Nairobi, in Nandi, in Mandera, in Wajia, are you able to see the value of 4 trillion that most of our countries?
No.
But you cannot see because corruption has eaten a lot of things. Corruption, governors now, in fact, all governors, whether serving or who have left office, are all of them potential members of committee maximum prison. So with those many remarks, I'm here to ready to listen, to answer, to engage, and I hope you'll read Riot Act to Wakili Ndegwa so that he can be careful not to make this a police station to report some of the issues that they are facing in their political faction. I thank you and I submit.
Well done.
Thank you, Senator. We appreciate those cogent comments from you. And just to remind you, last week we had a very interesting panel here. We were looking very keenly at devolution, and what you really say is we can be echoed by what the task force of the steering committee on devolution that was led by Dr. Mukha Kangu, who was here last week. So he gave us a blow by blow,
Are you aware Dr. Mutaha Kangu was my law lecturer at the School of Law, Mo University? He taught me constitutional law, constitution and constitutionalism.
Right. So
and he taught me law. He taught me business law also.
Oh, yeah,
Wonderful.
would have been wonderful to have you last week so that you can engage with your lecture.
But the other gentleman never taught me, so I thought I should put the record straight.
The other gentleman, yeah, in the transports, yeah.
Kipichumba.
Yes, he was just a librarian.
Ay, Jehovah.
Thank you so much. Are you sure? He was very categorical. He can't just be lying before the chamber that he's never taught you. Huh? Maybe
No, he never. I am the consumer of what he should have taught. So he never taught me. Why would I allow it to get away with? And his incompetence, you can see it now permeating. But I don't want us to diverse.
Senator is aggressive.
Okay. Let me just see the floor to Frederick that is on now. Frederick, good evening. This is what I call
good evening.
Yeah, of the memorandum of understanding between ODM and UDA, Article 8. Do you think we are on a good thing? And the president is particularly intent to